Good morning everyone. This is Kaylin Kamikawa. Today is April 1st, April Fool's Day. Is there this custom in Korea? Every year at this time of year, the origin of cherry blossoms, Yoshino cherry tree, is Korea. Some people make a noise, so you might think, maybe I love events that say that. www. However, in Korea, lies are scattered almost every day, not just on April 1st. April Fool's Day should be called Everyday Fool's Day, right? www. Aside from the joke, at the root of it, if you find that a great deal of Japanese contempt is rooted in their consciousness, it can be said that it is one of the extremely unacceptable situations. One of the reasons why Koreans are hated by people all over the world is the Korean origin theory. Simply put, seeing Korea's world-famous Japanese and Chinese culture, it means saying, the beginning of the culture is in Korea. The origin is in Korea. The target of the Korean origin theory is martial arts and martial arts related such as samurai, Japanese sword, kendo, and karate. Traditional culture such as kabuki and origami, Japanese food such as sushi and takwon, various Japanese etymologies such as washoi, celebrities such as Shiraku Toshusai and the Emperor, tangible cultural properties such as Kumamoto Castle, Japanese gardens and Magatama, animals and plants such as Yoshino cherry tree and Akita dog, from official Japanese flags such as the rising sun flag to various inventions that are considered to be Japanese icons. Regardless of field or tangible or intangible, it refers to claiming Korean origin for everything. Such unfounded self-assertion is a Korean behavior that I've never seen in the world. The Japanese and even the Chinese have never seen such shameless words and deeds. It can be said that it is now the target of ridicule from all over the world. If you do a comic story with Yoshimoto with comedy material, I think you will receive it. You will think that www. So who is saying that? From the theory that scholars and cultural figures personally insist, there is a wide range of theories that public organizations formally insist on. From the case of being temporarily disseminated in the mass media, it's a lot different, even when there is continuous international public relations. In particular, Japanese culture and Chinese culture are often targeted. Nowadays, not only Japan and China, but all over the world are said to be of Korean origin. The basis for these claims is from non-scientific to puns, folk etymology, and anything that has no basis at all. From the theory that is widely disseminated in Korea and abroad, even in Korea, there are various theories that are hardly accepted. However, it is widely common in that it is claimed from the perspective of ethnocentrism. Especially in the claim of origin theory for Japanese culture, it is often claimed with a strong disdain for Japan based on the Sojungwa idea and public education. Various Japanese cultures and cultural properties have been stolen and promoted to foreign countries as Korean culture. Then why do you spread such a lie that anyone can understand while buying a lie from all over the world? The reason is some Korean university professors have pointed out that the cause is the inferiority complex of Koreans. He also said, Korea is a smaller client state than ancient times, so I am not confident. And in the shortage of history, resources, global status, etc. I came to claim that it was my own without choosing any means. There is also a Chinese media that analyzed that. I'm not sure when the Korean origin theory started, but it's been a long time ago. Maybe. When it becomes famous in the world, the Korean origin theory for the culture often begins to be claimed. For example, in Korea, samurai, Japanese swords, and cherry blossoms, it has long been hated as a symbol of the barbaric Japanese emperor. Samurai and Yoshino cherry tree at the National Cherry Blossom Festival held in Tidal Basin every spring, recognizing that it is popular in the United States. I started to insist on the Korean origin theory on a large scale. The Korean origin theory has become widely recognized in Japan and China. Since the internet began to spread, in Japan, publications such as Manga Anti-Hanryu have a great influence. South Korea was selected as the #1 disliked country in China's online survey. It is said that one of the causes is the Korean origin theory. Even in the Japanese media, a pirated version of Mazinger Z was being broadcast in Korea as a Korean work. Is it your favorite Korean origin theory? Bitter smile. Articles such as are written, taken up in the theme of books. The Korean origin theory was taken up in the animation Italia, it has become widely known as Korean parliamentarians protest against it. On the Japanese internet, such an origin claim is made. Multiply uri, which means r in Korean and original English. Original, sometimes called original. The word original is used by magazines and university professors. It is so widespread that it is featured on TV programs. Also, as something similar to the Korean origin theory, the origin of the pedigree of people who are active in various fields of Japan from the perspective of Korean ethnocentrism without facts or grounds. There is a resident certification required for Koreans and Koreans residing in Japan. The information propagation structure is no different from conspiracy theory, chainmail, or some kind of hoax. As a reason for the Korean origin theory for Japan, underlying this is inferiority complex and anti-Japanese sentiment toward Japan. Independent after World War II, necessary for nation-state formation and international recognition, there was a lack of identity based on the history and culture of one's own people. Therefore, by stealing Japanese culture and Chinese culture, which are already well-known worldwide, as Korean origin, forming a national identity, raising awareness from overseas, overcoming the inferiority complex of Japan and China, which have been annexed to their own country and reigned as a great power for many years at the same time. It seems that he came up with this Korean origin theory in an attempt to achieve it easily. Also, among the Korean public, because it is believed that the history of the Korean peninsula was unfairly dwarfed by the Japanese emperor and the pro-Japanese faction. Restoring history from a view of colonial history, the claim of origin theory made in the name of is very easy to accept. Orthodox historians have become difficult to disagree with pseudo-history, and origin theory is also analyzed. Also, if a Japanese scholar denies the theory of origin, labeled as a Japanese right-wing scholar who distorts history, it is unlikely to be deeply discussed. Therefore, even if it is not accepted by Korean academic societies at all, or even if it is a questionable origin theory, because there is no discourse to deny, it is said that there are many cases where it is recognized as a fact by the Korean public and spreads. Former President Park Chung-hee of South Korea left the following words in his book, Nation, Ethnicity, and I. My half-10,000-year history was, in a nutshell, a chain of retreat, crudeness, and stagnation. It's just one epitome of a pediatric feudal society as shown by laziness, rest and opportunism. When I consider my ethno-history, I can't help but feel sorry. If we really want to promote the great people, first of all, this history must be renewed no matter what. My history, like this warehouse of all evil, should rather be burned. In addition, in his own book, Nation, Ethnicity, he left the following words about Mr. Lee Korea. By the four-color party conflict, Sadai-Juui, and the easy and safe lifestyle of both groups, it is a history of ethnic crimes that adversely affected the descendants of posterity. What makes our lives today so painful and difficult is it is just like the evil heritage of Joseon history, Korean history. Today's younger generation, along with the established generation, looks back on the footprints of their ancestors with a grudge. I feel contempt and anger together. Park Chung-hee was aware of Sadai-Juui and client state in Korean history, and in his own book, The Way the Korean People Should Go, lack of autonomy, lack of national love, lack of pioneering spirit, degraded national morality, of Koreans criticized, and raised the following problems as bad ethnic heritage. Sadai-Juui laziness and unemployed income notion, lack of pioneering spirit, lack of corporate spirit, malignant selfishness, lack of honor, lack of sound criticism. When Park Chung-hee established a dictatorship, renewal system, he wanted to eliminate the problems of the Korean people. Education with nationality, based on independent view of ethnic history to achieve the mission of nationality, was raised. It was done to dispel the above-mentioned problems of the Korean people. A Korean national textbook compiled with a historical view of Korean superiority based on education with nationality. It is said that there is an aspect of accelerating the Korean origin theory. In the textbook, Advanced South Korea has bestowed civilization on undeveloped Japan. The historical view is consistently emphasized. Regarding Japan, cruelness and barbarism are exaggerated and relentlessly described. It is consistently described with the recognition that Japanese are culturally inferior. Furthermore, during the Japanese annexation of Korea, created a story that Japan wiped out and plundered all the culture and cultural properties of the Korean peninsula. Culture that does not exist on the modern Korean peninsula must have existed before it was wiped out and plundered by Japan. Many Korean origin theories are claimed on the premise of origami, etc. As for kendo and judo, the culture, remains of the Japanese emperor, that Japan introduced to South Korea during the Japanese annexation of Korea. The traditional style that should have existed in Korea was the origin of the Japanese style. It was wiped out by the Japanese Empire and forcibly modified in a Japanese style. We may change the name, clothes, manners, etc. to Korean style and insist on the Korean origin theory. For cultures that do not claim Korean origin, such as Kyudo, Korean ones were wiped out by the Japanese emperor during the Japanese annexation of Korea, but they originally had a traditional style. In some cases, it is the basis for the tradition and legitimacy of one's own culture. A follower of the Korean origin theory said, "Japan has wiped out the culture of XX that existed on the Korean peninsula. Even if there is no evidence that that is the proof that Japan has carefully eradicated culture and cleverly concealed it. It is said that it often develops a conspiracy theory. In other words, we often make an excuse with the logic that the lack of evidence is evidence. It's exactly the same as the comfort women's claim. It is also said to be caused by Hwabyong, a culture-dependent syndrome in South Korea. If reality is unacceptable as a fact, even using illogical methods, lie, etc. It refers to avoidance, compulsive acts that try to convince oneself or others. In Korean newspapers, words that praise Korean culture often appear. Because of this awareness of excellent Korean culture, we do not recognize other cultures. The historical view of Korea equals the best in the world is widely shared. The logic that the origin of Japanese culture is in South Korea is quoted as showing the superiority of Korean culture. In recent years, claiming Korean origin as a patriot, and those who argue are pro-Japanese. There are also cases of being hit as. In addition, South Korea has a lower international name and recognition than Japan and China, and its national brand is weak. Therefore, exaggerated public relations and nationalist backgrounds that try to raise awareness by making excessive claims, can be said to have been born. After announcing that it originated in South Korea, evidence appears one after another. Most of them are historically impossible or childish and unproven. In other words, it means that everything can be squeezed. In particular, I look down on Japan and feel that I can say anything. The media is on top of that, making the story even bigger. But what I'm saying is incoherent, and there is no basis for it. There is also a dispute with China over the origin of Chinese characters, stone monuments, printing technology, and acupuncture and moxibustion. In the end, even Confucius and Qin Shi Huang say they are Korean, so there was even a brawl between Chinese scholars and Korean students. Chinese journalist Daisei Kaoru is in Weekly Playboy. Korea refuses to live permanently for Chinese people, and has a history of 5,000 years older than China. Kanji is the reason why the claim that it originated in Korea is disliked. Anti-Korean awareness is particularly high among the elderly. During World War II, he attacked China as a Japanese minion. The fact that you are sitting on the side of the victorious country seems to be brazen. The best part is that he was on the US side during the Vietnam War. Subsequent economic development in South Korea, many people think of it as a US dog because of the help of the US. The Korean origin theory promotes anti-Koreanism in China. The China News Service has made such an origin claim. We are trying to make up for the lack of culture through the robbery of culture. Korea robs the cultures of other countries because of its cultural complex. As a reason to stick to culture, while achieving economic and political growth, there are restrictions on its impact on the world. It must be because they think that their country lacks cultural influence. Most people say that Chinese people have a hard time understanding South Korea's claims. I'm used to robbing South Korea. Not only Confucius, but even the founder of Buddhism, Buddha, is Korean. The reaction of other countries to the Korean origin theory is similar. It's ridiculous, the media in each country reports. No, it's a ridiculous national character. What they insist is that everything is like this. In Japan, I grow up being told that there are no two words for samurai. It is a shame to tell a lie, and if it goes against it, the Japanese will make up for it with death. For Koreans, such a theory does not work at all. For them, lying is justice, the fact that it is a race that does not choose the means for the purpose the Japanese should command the liver. Lie like exhaling, the Japanese, and people all over the world, should never forget this word. Don't be fooled by Korean lies. That's all.